Okay, good morning, everybody. We're going to go live here with Sandra Rathe, our guest speaker today, and extraordinary agent. She has been in real estate, I want to say over 15 years, correct?
Yep.
Right? My understanding, Sandra, you started your career in an undergraduate degree from George Mason University as a CPA. And you went out and worked with corporate America as well. You got an MBA graduate degree from Bradley University, and you had to move to different locations, including Connecticut. And finally, in 2005, you came down to sunny South Florida. I hope warm South Florida, not like our Florida right now. You have a great, strong business background. We see that. But more importantly, I've learned from you so much over the last 2 years that I joined with Keller Williams Luxury Pro, on top of just not just as a fellow colleague, but you're one of those amazing agents that are on that top, 0.5, or I don't even know how you quantify that. In the top. You're in Gary's top 100 team. Last year, your team volume was 135 million, correct, in total sales, with 277 families served. And a lot of that, some of them too, 44 luxury homes. That speaks volumes to me. You have been recognized, and this is for people to understand where we're coming from. We wanted to bring Sandra because she is the expert in farming, and she's proven it. She's been in the top, six agents nation? What is it? 0.5% of agents nationwide, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So not even in the top 1%, the top 0.5% of the nation's agents, okay? And again, like I said, in Gary's top 100, that is my goal this year. So I bow down to you. I look forward to hearing what you have to do, what you're going to present today, and share with us your experience and how you got this far through farming. So I'm going to mute us here on this end. I'm going to allow you to take over. Everybody, please hold off on your questions. If you have questions, raise your hand and put it in the chat. We're going to try to go through them as they pop up at the end, correct? So we don't interrupt your presentation, or do you prefer the questions as we go?
It's probably easier at the end, but before I really get started, I would like to just hear from a few people, like, what is it you're looking to get out of today before I change the screen? Anyone?
I like farming method, but I'm not sure it's correct and probably not as efficient as it should be.
Okay, so more efficiency.
Just basically how to target, how to really focus on farming. I have one specific area, and I'm here to learn about how to farm that small area.
Okay.
How to really stand out. We all get flyers and things in the mail, mailers and things of that nature, but how to really stand out amongst ours going out in the same area where those others are also being sent out.
Awesome. That's a great question. Okay. Anybody else?
I'm just interested in farming my own neighborhood. I live in Kelly Plantation. It's a high-end luxury gated community, so I kind of want to know what's the best way to do that.
Okay. What does farming mean to you guys?
Becoming an expert on that specific area, knowing everything there is to know, and to be her too. You need to call her because she's the expert. She become the go-to person.
Okay, I like that.
I recognize, it's kind of like McDonald's. I want to be that, you see the M, the arch, and that's McDonald's. I want them to recognize me as that person that serves that area.
I love that.
The go-to place, the go-to McDonald's real estate.
I like it. Anybody else?
I just wanted to join the same thing and say, just my goal was to become expert in a specific community and know all the details how to do that to be effective in that specific area.
Excellent. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and jump in. I'll share my screen. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see you guys and the screen at the same time. I don't, we'll see here. All right, there we go. All right, so we are going to farm our way to a fortune. Vicki did a great job introducing me. One thing that I wanted to a couple things actually. So we talked about most of the things on this screen, except for that I started my real estate career in 2009, after having moved to South Florida in 2006, having no family, no sphere. And I think I wanted to point that out because I'm sure there's a few of you that are newer in the business, or maybe you just moved here. And I think it's just important to understand that you don't have to have a big background or, a lot of friends or family. Farming is something that you can definitely do that will get you where you want to be if you do it right, even if you don't know anybody to start with. And lastly, I wanted to just mention that our business is probably 75% last year on the listing side rather than the buy side. And the reason that that's so important is the person who has the listings is really the person who controls their destiny and the market. So when the market, I think that Gary always says, when the market goes down, that's when we take market share. And market share is generally speaking that person that has all the listings. So I think it's really important to point out that we are really heavy on the listing side, and I can be selling a listing from anywhere. I could be on a ski slope. I could be at the beach. I'm able to sell properties a lot easier if I have the listing side than the buyer side. And I also can have more predictable income. So in my opinion, farming is one of the reasons that, you want to get the listings, and farming is a way to help you get there. In 2023, we made almost 2 million in GCI just from farming. We have a lot of other lead sources like referrals from across the country, different things that we do, but almost 2 million just in farming. We already went through these. So what we're going to go through today, and I want to kind of set this up for you because I might start somewhere that you're like, oh, this isn't for me, but hang in there because I'm going to get to maybe something that's more important for you. But I want to just talk about what is farming, why I chose farming. I'm going to tell you how I farm. The cost of farming and the profit. I think that's super important, is to actually look at the net profit. You'll be surprised when you see the numbers. The steps for you guys to start your own farm, like from step number 1, how do we get going? How long do we try it for? What do we do if it fails? And what do we do if it succeeds? So I'm going to cover all of that as we go. So farming, you guys gave me some of your feedback on what you felt farming was, and I totally agree with everything you said. For me, I think farming is also a relationship. It is you're getting into relationship with a finite group of people. And what does that relationship mean? It means that they're thinking of you when they want to buy or sell, or when they even just have questions about taxes, or should I decorate this way or this way? So we're creating a relationship with people, even though we may not even know those people. We're creating a relationship, and I'll talk more about how we do that as we go. So farming can be done geographically, or it can also be done through a specific set of people in your database. So a lot of people they may not farming geographically may not be their thing, but they could take the exact same philosophies that I'm going to talk about today, and you could apply it to a finite set of people in some other area. It could be a Facebook group, it could be your database. So there's many ways that what I do could be applied to different sets of people. So don't try not to just think of it as a geographic area, but you could do this in other parts of your life and where you have lead sources. So I want to start with like where I started. I think it's important to kind of know the thought process that I went through to get here. Farming isn't for everybody, so I really want to make you guys aware of how I ended up here and where I started. So when I first got into real estate, like I mentioned, I didn't know anybody. I didn't have very many friends here. We'd only been here a couple of years. My kids were little, like they were just getting into school. So I started with all the free things, right? Trulia, cold calling, open houses for other agents. I can remember sitting Saturdays at one of the luxury agents' houses in Fort Lauderdale. Nobody showed up, but I did my time. Calling expireds, did lots of expireds in the beginning. Posting rentals on Craigslist. That like kind of just gives me goosebumps thinking about that. I actually used to do that. Floor time, sit in the office and do floor time for hours on end. So basically, I did everything, anything and everything that I thought would bring in leads or money. I was willing to do it. Nothing was beneath me. So what did that get me? Well, it got me stressed out, missing my 3 kids who were all still, they had just gotten into school. So my youngest only went to school for 3 hours a day. And, it made me sad. I wasn't home with them. I was spending money on gas. I was getting hung up on all the time. So it didn't feel very good. What did that not get me? That did not get me a paycheck. All those things that I did, I was busy, I was working, but it wasn't bringing in the money. So I said to myself, okay, I had these great jobs before, and I was really successful at my other jobs. I worked at Price Waterhouse, Caterpillar, Pratt & Whitney, Gerber Scientific over the years. And so I said, why was I so good at those jobs and so bad at this job? So I sat down and I really analyzed it, and I said, okay, what were the characteristics of my corporate job? And just to give you the background, I was a CPA, so I was an accountant, and those jobs were a repeatable process. You had your monthly things that you did every single month. We closed the books, we balanced the books, we counted the inventory, whatever it was that we had to do. It was something we did over and over every single month. When I started all of those jobs, there were some kind of procedures and processes that were documented, eliminating the guesswork. Not that it was the same every single day or every single month. There was always some variations, but it was well documented 90% of the job. And then the other 10% was maybe the creative side, or how do we, improve or get better. And last but not least, I was the expert in one area rather than a generalist in many. So I didn't start off at Caterpillar running the entire company. I started with a section of accounting where I was able to spend time doing it and learning it until I was the expert. And then I didn't really need the processes and procedures anymore because I had them memorized and I knew what to do every day. So then I said, okay, well, what would be similar to that? What of all the things I've tried would be similar to what I did in the corporate world? And, I interviewed a lot of people. I talked to people trying to figure out what is that thing, because it was driving me nuts doing all these random other things that weren't bringing in the money. And, you read a lot of books and you hear about farming, and I don't think it's very sexy. I'm sorry to say, but I don't think very many people are like, yeah, I want to farm because it's so sexy. It's not, but it's a great process. So the main characteristics is it's a repeatable process. It eliminates the guesswork of what you should be doing. You become an expert in one area rather than a generalist in many. So that sounds a lot like my previous jobs, right? A lot like my corporate world. So I said, well, let's give this a try. Additional benefits of farming. One of the funnest things that I think of is it's really rewarding when people know you, even though they don't know you. And again, I'll explain a little bit more about that as we go. But there's times where I can go to the grocery store and people will come up to me and they're like, I know you. They don't know me. They just know my marketing. They've seen my stuff in their mailbox. They've seen me around the subdivision, but they don't know me, but they think they know me. And it's funny, they get a little starstruck sometimes, so that's kind of fun. Clients come to us with farming instead of us going out, not to say that we don't do it. We do go out and do some door knocking and things like that, but we get inbound calls, texts, emails. We get people coming to us saying, I want to list my house. Will you help me? That's a great feeling rather than us always being, we don't do cold calls. We don't do those kind of things that people hate to do. We're having them come to us, which is a totally different mindset and a very different feeling. It's much more uplifting. It's much more rewarding. It also creates more predictable income. When you start farming and you've got it into a system and a process, you can kind of predict what is your income going to be. And you can see, well, if I'm off, I need to do more. And it's in a specific area. So it's not like you're saying, oh, well, I should spend more money on Zillow or I should spend more money on homes.com. Instead, it's like, okay, I'm doing this farming and I can just add a little bit more to what I'm doing here. So it's much more predictable and we can control the cost a lot better. So I'm going to talk about the core of my business. There's tons of different ways that you can farm, but I'm going to just talk about what I specifically do, and then we'll talk about some of the additional things that you could do as well. So for me, it's a newsletter. I started the newsletter in 2009, and I have sent it out every single month since 2009. That's a lot of newsletters. That's like 150 newsletters to the same subdivision. I missed 1 month, and that was when we had Hurricane Irma and the presses were shut down. So every single month, this bad boy goes out. So this is what mine looks like. It's, oh, I don't have it. I thought I had one here. Anyways, it is a 4-page, it's like 1 page on both sides and folded in half. So it's 4 8.5 by 11 sheets. You can see on here some of the articles that I've written. So over the years, I've wrote this newsletter for, well, probably 13 of the 15 years. Like I personally wrote it. And now I found somebody that can write it like me. It is written from my point of view. It is not written like a newsletter, like a newspaper or a magazine. It's written from my perspective. So it's not like a ton of fancy words and complicated sentences. It's from my heart. Even the lady who writes for me now, I'll send it back to her and say, oh, you need to put more of me in there. I'm not one of those people that, oh, I can't share my personal life. Why not? Real estate is a personal business. People need to know who we are in order for them to trust us and want us to sell their properties. So my newsletter does a great job of that because I will talk in there about the park that I used to take my kids to. My kids are older now, but when I first started, I would put pictures of me and my kids in there. We'd volunteer at the 4th of July event. I'd put a picture of us volunteering at the event. I would put pictures of us, maybe even on vacation. If we rented a property, we bought a property in Colorado, I put a picture of the property in Colorado, always tying it back to real estate, but giving them enough of me that they felt like they got to know me and they knew who I was and they knew what I represented. So it's kind of fun, but you have to be super consistent if you're going to do it, if you're going to do a newsletter. Mine is always, I have the Dear Neighbor section, which is a lot of times just like a little message, just straight from me. It could be about stats for the neighborhood. It could be about kids graduating if it's that time of year. So every month that's a little bit different. I always put a house on the cover, and that house is always one that we have listed. So the beauty of that is that every single month we have to have a new listing in our farm because that's a requirement of the newsletter. So I know some of you are probably thinking, okay, so this is all you, or you doing all of this. At this point, we have multiple farms, and I have other agents on the team that are in charge of each farm. But each farm has to have a new listing every single month. And if we don't have one, as we approach the end of the month for the next month, I'm asking the agents, where are you getting that listing from? Where's it coming from? And we have to get creative. We have to go, call people and say, I've got the cover of the newsletter. If you're ready to get started, people love that. It's a great selling point. It will actually make people sell faster. Sometimes people who are on the fence about, should I go with you or another agent? If I call them or my agent calls and says, we're going to put you on the cover, that gets them so excited that they end up signing with us. So the newsletter, it serves as multiple things. It serves as a way for people to get to know me and my team. And it also serves a way to speed people up and get them excited about selling. And they love to be featured on the cover. Then we put all the closed sales for the last month on the second page. And then all the other articles, it changes every month. There's an article there about KW Cares. We try to just let them know the things that we're doing to help the community. We put a testimonial in there, and then on the back page, it's all properties that we've listed, sold, or we have pending. So there's no rules to the newsletter other than that it's got to have some personality to it. It's got to be well written, not from a fancy big word standpoint. In fact, sometimes I have to take the fancy words out because it's too much for some people. But it just needs to be well written. Like the grammar needs to be done right. The spelling needs to be done right. We can't be having typos, things like that. People have grown to expect the newsletter. They love the newsletter. People will tell me, oh yeah, we've been getting your newsletters for 25 years. I've only been doing it for 15. So it's fun to see their reaction to it. So that's the main thing that we do. And then the second thing we do is postcards. I do have some of those here. You can see, so you see the one on the screen, and then I also have a big one that we've done. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but so we do postcards, and the postcards kind of come and go. It depends on how busy we are. Like during the pandemic, we didn't do any postcards. We didn't have time. We were just trying to survive and, get things closed. As things slow down, we start adding a postcard, and the postcards will be maybe once a quarter per subdivision. We always do it by subdivision. And again, it just speeds up how many phone calls we're going to get. We put the actives, pendings, and closed on it. And then the third thing that we do is we do drop-off gifts. I have a couple of them here. And this is really fun. Drop-offs are one of my favorite things. My agents have a love-hate relationship with them. They love them and they hate them because it gets them in front of people that they've been trying to reach, or maybe they don't know what to say anymore because they've called so many times, and now we have to stay in touch, but we just don't know what to say. So we create these little drop-off gifts so that it just gets the agents in front of the client, and the client is always so happy to receive the gift. It's nothing big. They're usually a couple of dollars. That's it. It's the thought that counts. So here's one. This is a 4th of July one, and it says, you and your referrals make our team sparkle. Happy 4th of July from the Sandra Rathe team. We try to make it as some kind of cute tag and something that we tie to the holiday. For 4th of July, once we did a cute little water bottle with some little sparklers in it, and then we tie the tag, with the saying to it as well.
Sandra,
Yeah.
we're not seeing it. We just see the list.
I'm sorry. Can you
We
see
can
what I'm
only-
holding? Can you see me?
No, we're only seeing your shared screen.
Oh gosh, I'm showing you nothing then. Okay, I don't know how to fix that.
We can see it on the Zoom if that matters.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, and just people here.
Oh gosh. Okay, hold on. I can stop sharing. There we go. Now, can you see me?
Yes.
Yeah,
You can-
sorry, I muted it. Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
So we do these little cute drop-offs, and they're always this is a little crunched up because this is one of my examples that I've carried around Florida. But I always try to make it cute. So it's in a cute bag. It's got a